So let's get to the comment of the day. And this is a big one. Let me first read this comment. And this comment is for what is becoming my most popular video, where I featured the footage that a lot of people didn't have balls to feature. And this is why I got this video got banned on TikTok, which I already covered earlier in this broadcast, of a man, a husband who appears to be defending his wife and then himself, and having to punch a couple of the women who are attacking him and his wife, out. Even though I blurred the footage, and a lot of people said like we couldn't find this footage, no one's covering this, right? So this comment is for that video. It says, wow, I just watched another video where the person was framing the five women as victims. She conveniently, of course, it's her. She conveniently forgot to add the footage of the jumpers attacking the wife and a husband, and claimed he hid them over a disagreement. Glad I checked another video. LOL. Thanks for actually including the footage. Right. So there are a couple of things that I did in my report that mainstream media didn't, right? I included all of the footage. It was not easy to find because, I go to the mainstream media, they're not showing the whole thing. And in a lot of places, it's being banned. For example, like on TikTok, TikTok banned this video essentially, right? And, I found the whole footage because, listen, I have no tolerance for any type of violence in general. So if a man is just beating up a woman, that's fucking fucked up. I hope he's a piece of shit who I hope goes to jail for a long time. But that's not what happened here, at least based on all of the footage that I found. And it took me a while to find the footage. People like to talk shit on social media and even news reports. Just, they have no problems spitting out news reports without any research. But I did some research and I found the footage, I pieced it together, and that's the value of my video. But I also mentioned that, hey, listen, this is self-defense. He is at, there's a bunch of women trying to punch him and kick him as he's on the ground. And this is after it looks like they also attacked his wife. Now, look, I hope there is an investigation and there are more facts that can come out, maybe extra footage, maybe some witness accounts, though they're easily skewed, especially if they're women, right? But yes, when you did see a little bit of coverage, because social media is not going to cover, mainstream media is not going to cover this. Um, when you saw the coverage of the mainstream media frames it as like, yeah, man attacked a bunch of women and they're the victims because he did put one of her in a hospital. And by the way, 99.9% of comments for my video on all platforms for this video is, yeah, he is right. And a lot of women chiming in saying, oh, if my husband wouldn't do this, I would divorce him. If my boyfriend wouldn't do this, I would leave him. And that would be right. You absolutely should defend your woman. You should absolutely defend yourself against basically a bunch of people, right? Somehow, every time something like this happens, oh, these are women who got beat up, right? So all of a sudden, being a woman is very important. But the other day, a bridge collapsed, and like a dozen of workers died, and that's what it was mentioned in mainstream medias. 12 construction workers died. Bitch, they were all men, right? We all know they were all men, but they're not saying 10 men died. No. Let's just generalize it, right? Like there could be some women doing constructions on a fucking bridge, risking their lives, building up an infrastructure. No, why do that when you can be at the HR, air-conditioned HR office, right? Or at a Coldplay concert, whatever. So this is the double standard that the media has. Oh, these are women. No, listen, this is a bunch of people who jumped the wife and then jumped the husband, who obviously was a bigger guy with some muscles. And at the end of the day, they lost the fight. Equal rights, equal lefts. That's the title of my video. But of course, when a lot of these people went to look for the story, they saw the stories from the media saying, oh, women are the victims here. The only woman that's a victim here is his wife. And again, this is just based on the footage that I found, which is way more than anybody else is showing. And a lot of people thank me for doing this coverage because it looks like I'm the only one who's actually analyzed this, found all the footage, showed all the footage, and told the truth. But yes, of course, and this has been the theme of this entire goddamn fucking live stream today, right? Men just don't have a voice. And when you try to have a voice like me, look at my subscriber count on any social media. I've been doing this every day for like 8 months now. Do you see how little it is? because the content like mine is not going to be promoted on social media, and a lot of men who would look at the content like this will say, oh, this guy's a misogynist pig, my wife would not like me watching him. No, 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 no. So yes, when there is a voice like mine and a few others that speak out, including Paul Elam, right, who do speak out for men's rights, we're not going to be promoted or shared. Like, for example, I've put out like 300 or 400 videos like this, and even in like men's rights and red pill Reddits and stuff like that, I was not shared once. So even men who are into the same thing, who do see the problem here, don't really share the content of one another. So yeah, we're gonna continue having this problem for a while. And I appreciate this guy, commenting, and maybe this is even a gal. That yeah, that's right. I mean, this is why I started doing the news, right? I started doing the news because, one, no one else is doing it, and two, these are really hard to find. A lot of times you see the news and there is a story covered underneath there, right? There's a couple of stories I'm going to cover, throughout this week. One of them is about the hockey team. A few hockey players that essentially were accused of domestic assault, and then they were acquitted. And now the prosecutors decided not to appeal that decision, which means even prosecutors knew that this was bullshit. And this woman just got to ruin these guys' lives and walk away. They withheld her identity because we cannot have women as victims, only men, of course. And when you look at that story as it's being covered by the hockey world, you wouldn't really think that this is a men's rights story, right? Like, I have to dig and dig and dig. I have my ChatGPT and my Google alerts set to like bring me these stories. And no matter how much I train these, a lot of times they can't find them. I dig into Reddits, I dig into this, men's rights forums and stuff like that to find the stories. This is the toughest part of my day, is to find these stories, because no one's doing them, no one's covering them. And this is why I think it's important for me to do it. But do my videos get shared? Not even in the manosphere. And that's the way it is. You got to give kudos to women, the way they've organized with feminism and men bashing and everything, and even bringing down videos like mine. They're really good at it. And men, the only time that I've seen men, American men, actually stand up for themselves is when they thought that their beer shouldn't be promoted by a trans person. That's when they got off the fucking couch, right? So obviously, men can do it in America. They just don't know the right cause if it hit them in the fucking face. This is why, before we take actions, before we can organize and say, let's not vote for that guy, even though he represents your party, because that guy or gal is not going to represent my best interest as a man, right? Like, a lot of people think Donald Trump represents men's best interest. But in reality, the last biggest anti-men law was signed into law by Donald Trump, his first term, right? Where alimony now is no longer tax deductible. You have to make even more money so you can pay taxes and so you can pay alimony, right? So until we can organize and figure all this out and vote for the right politicians who will represent us as men, we need to become men again. We're not, the majority of American men are not men anymore. We need to red pill them, and that's a tough task. That's going to take a bit. That's going to take a minute, or about 10 years, I think. Only then we can organize. But women got us so. I mean, women are so fucking good at this, and this is why this is going to be a battle that's been going on, that's going to be for a while, because at least women realized and wanted to battle for their rights. Men nowadays don't even know that they need to do that culturally and legally. So it is what it is. If you want to ditch modern women and move abroad for more traditional relationships, go to themillionmanproject.com, take my most comprehensive course, and change your life.